everybody. I thought it was a good opportunity to have a bit of a discussion about what the best tow vehicle choice is, since I've been driving for about a week now and I've seen so many different tow vehicles, lots of options out there, and some of them are correct, some of them maybe not. Now, and what motivated me, I suppose, before that one I went past a couple of caravans. One of them was a 79. I was caught up the caravan. I was sort of wondering, it's 90 k's an hour. Okay, no worries. A lot of people like to cruise at 90. I suppose it's safer. You're going to get better fuel economy, and you're not really in a hurry to go anywhere. You're on a trip, and I've got no issue with the sitting on 90 k's thing. Even better if you sort of make it easy for people to get past you by slowing down a bit more instead of speeding up when they want to go past, that sort of thing. Awesome, right? But I just sort of thought V8, 79, whatever it is, bit of a waste of a car and an engine to be the 90k an hour vehicle, because I know there's a lot of vehicles that like to travel on the speed limit. I've seen got up the caravans and doing, let's just say, how do I say this? The good speed limit, right? Plus, so some get along really well, and that's fine as well, as long as you've got a safe setup. I don't have an issue with that. But it just made me think, if you're going to do 90 k's an hour, you may as well certainly stick with a 120 Prado or 150 Prado, one of your four-cylinder diesels, whatever make or model you want to choose. I mean, I like the Toyotas. They're certainly the most reliable. Not talking about the latest 250, but look, it may even be a quite suitable vehicle for someone that for towing that's going to sit on about 90 k's an hour. So if you're going to do that, you're not going to need to overtake much. Trucks are going faster than you, that sort of thing. So you don't need to worry about the extra power. What do we got coming the other way? We got a 200. That's two 200s going the other way towing. I'll tell you why I wouldn't buy a 200 series as well, because that's what I'm going to get to in a moment. But what I'm saying is, the new Prado, some like the look of it, some don't. It's a nice vehicle as far as quality goes and engineering, that sort of thing. It's just got a bit too much pollution control gear all around it, and maintenance and things that are letting down the 1GT engine traditionally for the last 10 years, plus some more gear on top of that. That's kind of been trialled in Australia, is the way I look at it. I don't care how long they've driven it around. Real world use on the ground is going to bring the truth out. So if you need a reliable vehicle, I wouldn't be testing a vehicle, because that's what you're doing, you're testing a vehicle. So anyway, each to their own. Somebody's got to do it, right? Somebody's got to do the dirty work. My point is, if you're going to be the 90k an hour or 95 or up to 100, then one of your four-cylinder diesels is probably fine, whichever one you prefer. Doesn't bother me, it's your money, Ralph. It's your reliability. Just make sure you got RAC either way if you're going more than 100 k's from home. Top level cover, that's my recommendation, because you never know when something's going to let you down. You make your best choices, you do your best maintenance. In this case, if you do buy the newer vehicles and you've got warranty, highly advisable you take it back to the children to do the service work. And of course, they make mistakes and they're not on to the quality like everybody watching our YouTube channels, which everybody's pretty all over it, and I mean, it's just a guide. I can't, it's your responsibility. I can't hold your hand all the way. I'll give you a lot of information. I don't tell you exactly how to do everything, but I give you a lot of information that you can put the pieces together, and it's your responsibility to maintain, if that's what you're going to do, or modify, what aftermarket accessory choices, that sort of thing. I just want to point out, it's a guide only. So, towing, four-cylinder, no problem if you're cruising. Now, a lot of people, like myself, I prefer to do the speed limit, depending where we are, because the way I look at it is, if I've driven up and down these roads heaps of times, I don't really need to be doing it at 90 k's an hour if I can do it at 110, because if you're doing that all day, it's a couple of hours difference at the end of the day, and that means it's a couple of hours worth of extra stops, or a couple of hours at the end of the day, whatever the day might be. It might be 3 hours driving, it might be 8 hours driving, it might be 12 hours driving, but either way, the higher speed gives me a couple of hours at the end of the day, depending on all these variables, of course. So I just prefer to get there, I mean, as long as everything's done safely and within the rules, fatigue is an issue, right? So by travelling faster, less fatigue as the trip's shorter. And you know, when you're going slow and boring, it can get slow and boring, and that can be what puts you to sleep. Sometimes you need to be up there at the speed limit where you've got to be more attentive to what's going on, because I'm sure most people would agree that have towed anything, the vehicle dynamics difference between 80k is pretty relaxed, and you say you're in the Northern Territory, 130 is the speed limit now. Not so relaxed. I mean, depends what roads and what conditions and what your vehicle and all that sort of thing. So I guess these bigger engines are not really required for a lot of people if you're happy to cruise around, and I suppose if you're not doing it that much. So if you're the guy, like I spoke to somebody with a 200 series in a caravan park in where were we? That was in Esperance, wasn't it? I think so. I'm trying to remember where we were. The caravan park at Esperance, the Pink Lake. Anyway, and I do this with people a lot. So this is how you find out the truth, right? And I said, hey, how you going? Chit chat, you know what I mean? It was a bit of a, I want to be like Jason. Anyway, he had the 200 series and the big caravan and all that. Similar sort of looking bloke. It's all good, right? And a little bit of chit chat. And I said, oh, you know, what do you get? What's your litres per 100? He goes, oh, you know, it was all bad news. He goes, oh, 20? And he thought that was a high number. He was trying to scare me. I said, that good? And he said, oh, well, not really. He goes, I got a bit of a lead foot. Well, I said, well, this is the thing, right? A lot of people want to do the speed limit, and they catch up to those 90 or 100 or those 105ers, and the 105ers quite often end up doing 95 sometimes. So it's the hot, and I get the variable speed. Go a bit faster down the hills, use the weight to your advantage. Going up the hills, let it slow down. You're saving the vehicle, you're saving fuel, you're saving the environment. I totally get it, right? But just be considerate when there's someone behind you that wants to get past, please. And this is what I'm talking about. This is where these sort of people, like myself, will want the V8s, so that we go, mate, I just want to get out of here, right? So, and that's what it's all about. So choices. So I see a lot of 200 series. It was funny, heading west across the Nullarbor, I saw heaps of patrols around Port Augusta and everywhere. It was heaps of V8 patrols, Y62 V8s, right? Not the old ones. You don't see much of them anymore. They're all broken, or they stay close to home because they're not going to make it with their little engines. Remember, 2.8s and 3 litres and all that. That was another bad idea. Let me be very clear. Bad idea. And of course, they had engine problems as well, because when you put an undersized engine in a vehicle, this is what's going to happen. And they can make the materials more robust and make them last a bit longer, but you know, it's still an undersized engine and you can still feel it, you know it. It's like a 12-foot tinny with a 5 or an 8 horsepower. It's just rubbish. Put a 20 horsepower on it, away you go, right? It just does the job. And a big 4-wheel-drive, really it needs bigger engines, and that's not the way things are headed. Why wouldn't I buy a V8 200 series? Well, you're talking about buying a second-hand car that's well, they've all got DPFs from 2015, so if you go pre-DPF, that's not a bad option, but it's very old. It's going to need injectors, pipes, everything, possibly turbos. There's a lot of expensive works that come up. So you go buy an old 200, one with DPFs, you can still have DPF problems, right? You might not. Is it just a tow vehicle? You're still going to need injectors, all the normal wear and tear items. Like I said, turbos, alternator, whatever it is, these things are going to pop up. And the biggest reason is just the drive of the 200 series. I've driven it before, and they just don't have the agility of the Prado. So once again, I've explained it. You know, I could be driving a 120 Prado with 15 or 20 grand, let's say, and the 200 series might be more like 100 grand. It's a lot of extra money to have a bit of V8 there, and I'm not doing the towing, so I can live without it, to be quite honest. And it seems to be a lot of engine fan noise and no-go, a lot of, you know, the engine and the fan, and not so much go. So look, I'm not impressed by it, right? I'm really not impressed by 200s, the way they drive. Like I said, they not much bigger really, but they feel bigger. The suspension components are bigger and heavier and stronger, which obviously isn't required because the Prados don't brake. So you're carrying around all this extra weight. Doesn't matter if you've got to work the 4-cylinder hard at times, it's still going to be more economical. Whatever you do to it, it's going to work out much more economical, even though things can get really bad. So I hope you get the picture. That's why I wouldn't buy a 200 series. And of course the V6 300, we'll talk a bit more in another video. That's enough chit chat for this. I haven't seen this before, but it was just a bit of a reminder. And with all the discussion at the moment, what's the best tow vehicle, what's the best four-wheel drive Prado, what can you buy, do we want to upgrade, downgrade, is a new car an upgrade or a downgrade, blah blah blah. Alright, we'll catch you in the next one and continue the conversation.